Welcome back to The Explainer. Today we're jumping straight into this really beautiful, honestly kind of uplifting story. We're looking at a classic fable called The Boy Who Shared His Light. And it's exactly what it sounds like, a fascinating look at a kid named Leo, this magical lantern, and really, the absolute power of just doing good. If you ever needed a reminder of how the tiniest actions can spark massive change, well, you're absolutely in the right place.
Let's move to and see how this builds. We'll start with the discovery, then feeling the magic, followed by the merchant's temptation, the brightest light, and finally, we'll wrap it all up with the moral of the story.
Okay, let's dive into this. Section 1, The Discovery, a hero's humble origins. So we meet this kid, Leo. He lives in this really quiet, small village, just completely surrounded by these rolling green hills. And what's crucial to understand right off the bat is that Leo wasn't the strongest guy around, right? He definitely wasn't the richest either. But his defining trait, he was always helping people, and he was always doing it with a smile. It really establishes him as this fundamentally humble, genuinely good person. And his ordinary everyday life totally flips upside down one evening. He's just walking home and boom, he makes this remarkable discovery. He finds this tiny, glowing lantern just resting quietly under an old tree.
So, as Leo is just standing there marveling at this thing, an old woman seemingly appears out of nowhere to explain what it actually is. Now, what's really interesting about this magic is the specific rule attached to it. This isn't your standard genie in a bottle situation. It doesn't grant wishes. Instead, its light actually grows brighter every single time the person holding it helps someone. But, and this is a big but, there's a catch. If the bearer becomes selfish, the light slowly fades away. So it's essentially a real-time visual meter of someone's kindness. Pretty wild, right? So Leo thanks the woman and takes this extraordinary little object home.
Section 2, Fueling the Magic, the Lantern in Action.
And this brilliantly illustrates the direct cause and effect happening here. Literally the very next morning, Leo puts the old woman's explanation to the test. Step 1, he helps an elderly man carry this heavy stack of firewood. The immediate result, the lantern instantly glows brighter. Then, step 2, later that day, he shares his lunch with a hungry little girl. And the result? The light becomes even warmer and more radiant. You see, the lantern is reacting instantly to Leo's specific, selfless acts. But the beautiful thing is, he isn't doing it just to see the magic happen, he's doing it because, well, that's just who he is.
But here's where it gets really interesting, because the magic doesn't just stay isolated to Leo. As his lantern begins to light up even the absolute darkest nights, this huge ripple effect washes over the whole village. People weren't just looking at the light and admiring it, they were actually inspired by it. Soon enough, everyone else started helping one another too. It's like it spread like wildfire. Leo's individual actions literally catalyzed a massive behavioral shift across his entire community. Section 3, The Merchant's Temptation, a Wealthy Offer.
So just as the village is hitting this wonderful high point, every hero's journey has to have a major test, right? And Leo's arrives in the form of a very wealthy merchant. Let's break down the stakes here. On one side, you've got the merchant's gold. He literally offers Leo a heavy bag of gold in exchange for the lantern, promising him he'd never have to work a single day for the rest of his life. I mean, that is the ultimate temptation of easy wealth, right? But on the other side, you have the glowing lantern. Keeping it means choosing a life of humble service. It means holding on to a light that represents everyone's collective good deeds, rather than cashing out for personal luxury.
I want to pause for just a second here. What would you choose? Seriously, think about it. It's so incredibly easy to judge characters in a story, but if someone walked up to you and offered you enough money to just retire forever, all in exchange for some object you randomly found under a tree, I mean, that's a profound dilemma. Do you take that massive personal reward, or do you prioritize the greater good of the people around you? Well, Leo looks at the bag of gold. Then he looks at the lantern, and his response is just incredible. He says, "This light doesn't belong to me. It belongs to every good deed." Boom. Just like that, he completely turns down the merchant's offer. Leo realizes that him owning the lantern is basically an illusion. He's not the owner. He's just a steward of the kindness that it represents.
Section 4, The Brightest Light, the Ultimate Climax.
The immediate aftermath of that selfless choice is absolutely spectacular. That very night, the lantern shines brighter than it ever had before. I mean, the light was so intensely powerful that it illuminated the entire village. And right at that exact moment of peak brightness, guess who shows up? The old woman who originally explained the magic to him makes a return, just greeting him with this huge smile. She looks at him and says, "You have learned the greatest lesson.
kindness is the brightest light in the world. So the crucial point is, this right here is the central theme of our entire explainer. The physical light of that lantern, it was really just a metaphor all along. A metaphor for the warmth and the illumination that pure, unfiltered kindness brings into the darkest spaces of our lives.
And then something genuinely amazing happens. The magical lantern just slowly disappears. It fades away entirely. But wait, the village doesn't go dark. In fact, every single house actually seemed brighter. And the story is super specific here. It wasn't because of magic. It was because the people had learned how to truly care for one another. Leo literally didn't need the physical lantern anymore. The community had completely internalized that magic. His inherent kindness had become the real light, inspiring and sustaining everybody around him.
Section 5. The moral of the story. The final takeaway.
This whole incredible journey really distills down into two deeply universal, highly actionable truths. First up, true happiness comes from kindness. It doesn't come from a bag of gold. It doesn't come from being the strongest in the village. It comes from selflessly helping other people. And second, every single good deed makes the world just a little bit brighter. You honestly don't need some glowing magic lantern to change the world. You just need the willingness to share your lunch or maybe carry someone's firewood.
Which brings me to the final thought I want to leave you with today. How will you share your light today? Leo's story completely proves that kindness is contagious, right? It starts with just one small act, and before you know it, it's illuminating an entire community. So take this lesson with you. Find a way to help someone out, do it with a smile, and be the brightest light in the room. Thank you so much for joining us for this explainer, and I absolutely cannot wait to dive into our next topic with you.